Hi, I'm Kate. I'm here in our Bristol sewing studio and this is my creative bit. So I'm going to show you how to make a laptop case but out of a very sadly shrunken jumper. So what I'm going to do is make use of it. The good thing about felting wool is that it doesn't fray. It's not going to go all bitty and fluffy when you cut it anymore. So I'm going to stick my laptop on the top here and just check the good position. And then I'm going to, as you can see, like I say, with this edge, there's just no fluff. That's just going to stay like that, which is really nice. Basically just cut the front out of the jumper now. Now we've kind of identified our shape, I'm just going to cut it down so it makes a bit, it's going to actually fit snugly rather than be far too big. So I'm just going to chop him down, making sure I leave myself enough space for a seam allowance. So I'm just going to be doing a straight stitch, so I want at least 1 centimetre. So I'm literally, as you can see, it's super simple. I'm not making a paper template or anything. I'm literally just going right around the laptop itself. I think this is a really nice, easy one because you don't really need an enormous amount of experience or expertise or tools or, there's no button or anything. Oh, I'm also using elastic. That's what's going to do, tie it together at the end. So here's our other felted bits. Very roughly try and line these seams up just so it's roughly the same front and back. So that's my template for this side. Chop, chop, chop. That's them cut out, so we can discard our lovely sleeves. I'm sure I'll find another use for those at some point. Now, while I've still got them in 2 pieces, I want to get my elastic ready because it's going to be much easier to sew before I've turned them into the laptop case. So I want to make sure, I want it to kind of be slightly tight, but not, I want it to still have a bit of slack in it. So I'm going to cut it to about here. In the middle of this piece, or yeah, roughly in the middle, I'm going to stick it under the sewing machine now. I'm going to sew the elastic down. I'm just going to make it secure on this side and then I'm going to fold it over so you can't see this sewing. Put my needle down, go forward and reverse. I've just got this on a straight stitch, on a reasonably long-ish stitch. Sometimes if you have too small a stitch on something like this, it just sort of starts chewing a little bit. I think when you've got unusual fabrics that you're putting together, sometimes a longer stitch is a bit better. So that's what we've got here. And always just reverse so that you've secured the stitch as well. So just a couple of stitches back just to secure it. Goes out of the way. So I've sewn it like that. Now what I'm going to do is go back on itself, just so I end up with quite a nice neat edge instead of this scruffy edge. So I'm just going to sew that down with just 1 line of straight stitch. Just going to enclose it really nicely then, make it look quite fancy. So, and just kind of maybe even folding over any that is frayed, you know what I mean? So it's caught completely underneath would be a good idea. I started in the middle of there as well. I put the needle down in the middle so that it's not kind of chewing up the edges. I want it to be a really nice neat line of stitch. There we go. So we've done that. So now we have this. We're going to go right sides together and we're going to be really careful that we're not going to catch this elastic in the edges. So actually I'm tempted to pin it down right in the middle. So if it starts straying, there's a chance we'll catch it in the rest of our sewing. So let's sew it down. You can tell the wrong side because it's got these seams on it. So both of the right sides want to go together. So you want to leave about 1 centimetre. So my stitch line is going to be about here. And just sort of making sure because we've got these nice felted edges, they don't need any further edging. We want to make sure they're really nicely lined up. And because it's knit as well, it's quite easy for it to kind of stretch out. So you're all the way around, you're just sort of checking that you're keeping it in line. You're not going to end up with more on one side than the other. You turn that around. Also, if I've found that my cutting is a bit messy, it's not really important at all because this fabric's so easy. When I'm doing the corner, I'm just making sure I put my needle right into the fabric. It's down so that I can pivot and I'm not moving it out of the way. It still knows where it's going. Okay, just line these up. And this is our home straight, this is our last edge. Obviously we're not doing the top or we'd never be able to get into it, so make sure you don't do all 4 sides. That's nice and secure. Chop off our loose ends. I'm going to chop these corners off. Not completely, just so there's not loads of excess. Because actually it might be quite nice to protect the corners of the laptop. Let's turn her inside out. And you can use your fingers probably just to poke this out. It's not super fiddly, but otherwise that's why the end of your scissors when they're closed are quite useful. Just to poke out the bottom and take our pins out. And then this chap, oops, should fit quite nicely inside there. That is happy. So we could, if you wanted to, you could edge that. I really like the raw edge. Also, you can kind of fold it over twice if you want a really nice neat edge on it. I'll show you, like that. Like a little parcel, a little bundle. But this elastic looks really cool next to this peach fabric as well. There we have it, one finished laptop case.